So we have a really fun Blender tutorial today. We're going to be making an Apple smartwatch product animation in Blender. Now I'm going to be providing the actual smartwatch for free, and that's going to be on my Gumroad. You can download it completely for free. But if you want to make this smartwatch, I do have a tutorial. You just search for my channel or type in Pixel3D Apple smartwatch, you'll find it, and you can make this exact smartwatch. If not, just download the one that I'm going to provide. We'll get to that in the tutorial anyway. So this is it here. You can see the blend file. And we're just kind of like making the cloth wrap around. There's going to be some cool ways we can do this. But yeah, you can see this is it. And what I did is I rendered this all out when it was done. So this tutorial is going to be focused on making this actual animation, as you see, doing the materials, the lighting to make it all look really nice. So you can see this is the sort of lighting and materials we're going to be doing. But you can render out the frames and then compile it together. And what I did is I created the video, compiled it together, then I duplicated it and just reversed it in Adobe Premiere Pro and cut the two together. And then I got this effect where it kind of like wraps around and then wraps back out by reversing it. But how you want to do that is completely up to you. This tutorial is about making this awesome looking product animation that you see here. This is a ton of fun. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. So let's dive in and make it in Blender. So the new scene opened up in Blender. Let's go ahead and we'll just grab the default cube and we'll press delete. In fact, let's just select everything and press delete. It's going to make it simpler. We're then going to go Shift A. We're going to go to our mesh option, add in a plane. And with this plane active, what you're going to do, you're going to press S on your keyboard to scale, and then you're going to follow that with 6. So S6 and hit enter. So we've scaled this up 6 meters. If you press N on the keyboard, you can have your properties pop up here. And you can actually go to the item and you can see here that it's 6 meters on the scale. What we're going to do, we're going to go RX90 and hit enter. So RX90 to rotate it 90 degrees on the X. And then what we're going to do with this plane, we're going to go GY and just move it back about this much. So you can see over here, it's about 1.5 meters back on the Y. Then we're going to go Shift D to duplicate and Y again and move it further back. Like so. Then we're going to come with the second duplication. Okay, we're going to make sure, so under our properties here, we're going to make it 9 meters. So this is going to be 9 meters, or maybe even 10 meters. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, just so it's a backdrop. You can kind of scale it roughly like this. You just want a backdrop. But our cloth here is 6 meters by 6 meters. Okay, so then what we're going to do is with our cloth here selected, we're going to tab into edit mode, and with everything active, we're going to go over. We're going to right click and go subdivide. We're going to go to the subdivide tab. We're going to subdivide it 102 times, like so. Okay, so for me, it's limited at 100. So maybe, okay, so it won't actually go past 100 in one shot. So let's just subdivide it 100 times. That should be fine. Okay, so it's quite subdivided, which is what we need. We're going to go back into object mode. And then what we want to do, we want to bring in our smartwatch. Now I'm going to put a link in the description below, and that link will take you to my Gumroad page where you can download this model for free. Now it does have a $sign here, but all you have to do is type in $0 and you can download this for completely free. So go ahead and do that. And another thing to keep in mind is this will download as a zip folder. So once you've downloaded that, you can go ahead and just extract the zip file. Inside of there's going to be a blend file called Apple Smartwatch. So just keep note of where you've extracted that. I have that on a folder. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back into my blend file or our scene that we had here. And then you're going to go File, you're going to go Append. And in my case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that. And there's the blend file. I'm going to click on it. And then once I click on that, I'm just going to go over to Object. And I'm going to click on the Apple Smartwatch and I'm going to append it. And here you go. It's now appended in. There we go. So let's now also quickly grab our cloth. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our physics and we're going to give it a cloth. And then we're going to do a few things here. We're going to start by taking the speed multiplier and we want to make it a bit slower. So let's just make it 0.6. And then what we want to do is we want to go to our air viscosity. We want to bring it down and let's take it to about 0.45. There we go. And then we're going to go to our stiffness, and under stiffness, we're going to make all of these 1.4. Okay, so going all the way down 1.4. So that's the tension, the compression, and the shear. And the bending, we'll make that really low. So we'll make it let's go 0.15. There we go. Then we're going to go to our damping. And we're going to go ahead and just take these first three here and turn them all down to 0. The tension, the compression, and the shear. The bending we can leave at 0.5 over here. Then we want to go to our collision. So let's go down to collisions. Let's just take the quality up to 4. We're going to take the distance here to 0.005. And then we're going to enable self collision so the cloth can interact with itself. And the distance we're going to make 0.005. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our cache and let's just go with 130 frames. And we'll actually come here to our animation and only make it 130 frames long. So that's how long the cache is going to be. We're then going to take our smartwatch. We're going to go to our physics as well. We're going to give it a collision. And that's all we have to do. And then for now, what we're going to do, we'll just grab our cloth and we'll press, or we'll actually just go over to our modifiers. And we'll just turn it off in the viewport for now, so it doesn't do anything. And then let's grab our smartwatch. And in our front view, let's just double tap R and just kind of rotate it into a nice dynamic pose. I'm gonna go something like this. And then on frame 1, with it selected, I'm gonna hover over it and press I to insert a keyframe. You can now see we have a yellow keyframe here. Then I'm gonna go all the way to frame 130. And on frame 130, I'm gonna go into my right orthographic view. And I'm going to enable the auto keying, and I'm going to go G, Y, and move it back to about here, quite a bit in, like so. And what we'll do in our front view, we'll just double tap R and just rotate it slightly to make it face a little bit more forward, like that. And then I'm going to turn off the auto keying. So now what we have is this. If we hit the spacebar, it moves back slowly. But we want to just highlight these keyframes, and we want to press T and just make the animation linear. So it's a linear animation. Okay, there we have it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to select our cloth and we're going to go ahead and turn it back on in the viewport. We're going to go to frame 1 and let's just quickly hit our spacebar. And you can see the cloth is falling here, which it should because gravity is on. So let's just quickly go to our physics. With the cloth selected, let's just go all the way down to the bottom to where the field weights are. And let's just turn the gravity down to 0. Then if we go back to frame 1 and we hit the spacebar, you should now see this. Now keep in mind, this is happening very slowly, but I'll come back when it's kind of finished. And I'll pause it here for now, but you kind of get the idea. So I'm going to also right click and go shade smooth. It's doing this, which is fine, but we want it to actually fold over the watch. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to frame 1. We're going to go Shift A. We're going to go over to our forces. We're going to add in a force. And we're going to give it a negative value. So we're going to go over to our physics. And we're going to give it a negative value of 270. And now if we go to frame 1 and we make sure to save and we hit the space bar, it's going to now kind of suck the cloth around. And you can already see it's doing what we want it to do. So that's really, really good. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause. I'm going to make sure to select the cloth. I'm also going to go ahead and give it a subdivision surface. Make sure the subdiv does not sit on top of the cloth. Otherwise, this is going to be insanely computationally expensive. So have it underneath the subdiv, like that. So what we'll do now is we'll go to frame 1. Okay, we'll select our cloth. We'll go over to our physics. Make sure to save before we do this, and then go down to your cache, and then click on bake. Now this, depending on your machine, this can take 10 minutes. It could take an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and click it, and when that's done, I'm going to come back. Okay, it's now done caching, and if I hit the spacebar, you can see this is what we have. Now, you don't have to cache all the way to 130 frames if it takes so long. You could always just go to 70 or 80, but I went to whole 130 frames. So as it wraps around, what you can also do is select a cloth. You can go over to your modifiers and give it a solidify by typing in solidify. That's just an optional thing you can do. Probably a good idea, but you kind of get the idea. So this is what we're going to do. And you can always kind of like just stop it at a certain point like this, and then just kind of reverse it going back in post. But this is all we kind of need. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into our front orthographic view. We're going to go Shift A. We're going to add in a camera. And let's go G, Y, and move our camera back. Let's go to the camera view, and under our camera object data properties, we're just going to go make it 200 in the focal length, and we'll just zoom the camera back. We'll just move it back in the scene. So there we go, move it nice and back. And what we have here is something that looks like this. So I'm going to go to frame 1, and I'll move the camera back a little bit, like so. And on frame 1, I'm going to press, with the camera selected, on frame 1, we're going to press I to insert a keyframe. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go over to frame 130. And in frame 130, we're going to go G, middle mouse button with the camera selected, and in camera view, we're going to move the camera in, and we're going to rotate it slightly. And we're also going to come and press I to insert a keyframe. So the camera has just a slight sort of movement inwards, and it rotates a little bit like that. But that's optional to do the camera rotation. So now we have that done. Let's go over to our render engine. Let's change it to cycles. If you have a GPU, I always recommend you use it. And then you're going to go over to your max samples. I'm going to change it to 35. You could go higher if you want better quality, but I want it to render kind of fast. So I'm going to go with that, and denoising is enabled. So now we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go to our light options, add in an area light. We're going to take this area light, kind of move it over to the side and rotate it in. And we want to go with a strength of about 450. And let's just grow the size of it. And then let's just go Z and go rendered. And you can see this is what we have. So I might bump the strength up even more. There we go, because this is kind of like a large scene. And then once I have that light coming from the side, that's going to kind of give us this nice sort of shadows. I'm then going to go Shift D to duplicate, have another one coming from the side and kind of pointing in, but a little bit further back, like so. So if we go into our camera view now, you can see this is what we have. Okay. And now what we can do is we can work on this cloth material, which is really simple. So we're going to go ahead and go into solid view. We're going to select our cloth. We're going to go to our shading workspace. And then we're going to go into our camera view. We're going to select our cloth. We're going to give it a new material and call it cloth. And then what we'll do is we'll go Shift A, search and get a wave and get a wave texture. And what we'll do is we'll duplicate this wave texture and move it down. We're going to go Shift A, search and get a texture coordinate. So I'm typing in texture coordinate. And I'm going to plug the UV into the vector of both of these, like so. So they're both going in like that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go Shift A, search and get a mapping node. Now the mapping, I will only put on the bottom one here, like so. Okay, so the mapping goes into the wave texture. And we want to come here and first of all, let's just combine them, or at least view them. So we're going to take the bottom one, and we're going to plug it into the base color. Let's go Z, let's go rendered. And we want to rotate that. So what we're going to do, we're going to come here to the X and rotate it 90 degrees. And if that doesn't do anything, maybe let's just try the Z. Okay, so the Z will give it the rotation we're looking for. So rotating it 90 degrees on the Z. And if you look at this top wave texture, if we plug that into the base color, you can see it's going up. So we want to kind of mix these and get like an interference pattern. So we're going to go Shift A, search and get a mix. And let's just go with a mix, and let's just plug it in here and plug both the colors into here. And let's just change this to color. And you might have to replug them into the A and B inputs. And then let's just drag the factor up a little bit like so. And make sure to plug the result into the base color. And now we have that. So what we could do is we can go Shift A, search and get a value node. Let's just plug that value into the scale of both wave textures. So the scale here and the scale there. And then we can make it 120. So you can come here now and change the scale. And you can see we now have this sort of cloth material. So what we can do, we can come over here and we're going to go Shift A, search and get a ramp. Make it a color ramp and place it on the cable here. And what we'll do, we'll go Shift A, search and get a bump node. And let's just plug the result into the height of the mix. And let's just plug the bump into the normal of the principal. And then take the strength down to 0.1. And that gives us the bump. We're going to drag the roughness up a little bit. There we go. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take this color ramp and drag it up here. And let's just make this sort of like a dark orange or darker orange. And then let's drag this white value down and kind of give it like a less saturated orange like this. So you can see now this is the cloth material that we have. And it looks really nice and silky and luxurious. And what we can do, because as you play the animation, you're going to see the background. You can select the background over here, and you can give it a material. Let's just call it BG for background. And let's just make that sort of like a slightly off orange white, like that. And that's all we really need to do. So now we have our animation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my layout. I'm going to kind of get a shot that looks kind of cool, like this. I'm going to make sure to save, and then let's quickly go render and render the image. And there we have it. This is the result. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial and that you've had a lot of fun. What I did is I just rendered out all the sequences, and then I went into Adobe Premiere Pro where I compiled it into an animation. Then I also did another section of that animation, the exact same animation, and just flipped it, reversed it, and then cut the two together. And that gave me that sort of in and out of the cloth wrapping and going back in without having to render it out twice. So there's a lot of videos on the internet on how to render videos out in Blender, and it's very simple, so I'm not going to cover it today. This was just about how to make the animation. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this. Go ahead, download my asset here. And by the way, if you want to learn how to make this smartwatch, I have a tutorial on it. You can check it on my YouTube channel. Just go Pixo 3D Apple smartwatch. You'll find that tutorial and you can make this smartwatch yourself, or you can just download the one that I've provided. So I'll see you guys next time, and thank you for watching.